This will be a video response to Jefferson Bepsky's video titled Sex, Marriage, and Fairy Tales. And no, I don't have a clever spoken word poem today, guys. I'm not quite as linguistically talented as this man right here. But what else I'm talented in is PWNAGE. And boy oh boy do I have a lot of it today. I first of all have to say that I agree with certain things in the poem. For one, that the way relationships are portrayed in mainstream media are in fact fiction. But what is the difference between that and the type of relationship that the Bible seems to think is ideal? I don't see much of a difference. You then go on to say that, well, there are a lot of divorces in the more recent times, and that's an indication that marriage has become meaningless today. No, it's not. Has it ever occurred to you that divorces happen because people just might not get along? I mean, are you going to honestly say that whoever you're married to, you are bound to for the rest of your life? Do you know how impractical and illogical that sounds? Just think about it for a second. To think that you've come across the perfect person for you out of the billions of people in the world that might be perfect for you, you happen to come across the very one that you might stay with for the rest of your life. And hey, maybe there might be more than one compatible person for you, but even then, how many people is that compared to the vast majority of other people who are not 100% compatible for you and who will not stay with you for the rest of your life? I ask you, how probable do you think it really is? Not very, especially considering that we all have different interests, we all have different occupations, and we all have different cultures and lifestyles, and we just might not get along. Divorce rates aren't indicative of anything. You could have a very long marriage with someone and it could be absolutely shit, and you can be miserable, and they can be miserable for the whole duration of the marriage. Oh, I'm sure you'd be very proud that you're married to someone for over 50 years, but if you're going to be miserable living with that person, and I don't see the value of that. I really do not understand if, going by your logic, this abusive marriage between a man and a woman for 50 years happens to be greater in value than that of a marriage between two people who maybe have only been married 10 years and had a happy marriage and ended that marriage in good terms. I don't see how you could see that the first marriage is better or superior than one that ended in happiness and love and caring for the other person. In other words, quality of the marriage counts, not the duration of the marriage. And later on in your poem, you said that men should put down their controllers, lead women with grace instead of trying to control her. And you know, I don't see any difference between those two terms. They are synonymous. One just sounds nicer than the other. You're really saying, control her nicely, but don't be a dick when you're controlling her. So, you know, instead of me going, get to the kitchen, woman, and make me a sandwich, you'll be like, oh, well, please get to the kitchen and make me a sandwich. To be honest, I think more highly of women than you do. I let her decide what she wants for herself. If she wants me to lead the relationship, that's fine. If she wants an equally assertive role as I do in the relationship, again, that works for me. But I don't try and take control and just say, all right, you do what I say, because I think higher of women than that. You say that you were a part of a marriage that had failed. I think because your parents are divorced. I'm not sure. Please quote me on that if I'm wrong. And that you therefore understand what it feels like, even though you yourself have never been married. I'm sorry, you don't understand. You don't get it. Neither do I. Neither does anyone else who has never been married, and therefore never been divorced. Your final and my favorite point of the poem is, well, you need Jesus as your foundation to make a good marriage. I'm sorry, but I'd hate to break it to you, bro. The statistics say otherwise. Link in the description. And even if the stats were in your favor, your scripture is not. But if I were even to ignore all of that, does that necessarily mean Jesus is the foundation for a good marriage? Absolutely not. You know, there are a lot of marriages in the world that happen and are successful without the presence of your God. Has that ever occurred to you? Or is it your notion that those marriages are somehow invalid or inferior to that of two Christians marrying, or with a marriage which has a foundation based upon Jesus Christ? Is that your contention? If that's what you're getting at, how dare you? How dare you sit there with such conceit in front of a video camera and lecture me and all other non-believers in your religion about how to have a successful marriage? How dare you invalidate the meaning of love and joy and the very definition of marriage just by saying, with that smug Christian superiority, that my idea of marriage and love is inferior to yours simply because I don't believe in your God? How fucking dare you? I haven't had a lot of relationships in my life, but the one that I had, I based upon respect, upon trust, upon common interest, and a lot of things, but none of them happen to include religion, much less yours. To my audience, especially to anyone in my audience who happens to be married or has been married, whether you are a Christian or an atheist or a Muslim or a Jew or anything else, are you not in the least bit insulted that this man is insinuating that your marriage is invalid unless you believe as he does? Even if you're Christian, does that not insult you as a Christian that he would have this smug, superior attitude and propagate the word of your God in such a disgusting and openly hostile manner? And to the women in my audience, is it not in the least bit insulting that this guy says in his poem multiple times that men should lead women, that women are just these brainless idiots that have men control what they do all the time? If you're a modern, empowered woman, does this not sound in the least bit insulting? So thanks for watching. May the truth always be heard.